I know a lot of 22-year-olds, 23-year-olds, 24-year-olds who are like, well, I've reached my natural potential for growth, therefore I hopped on PEDs. And it's like, you're 24 years old. You've been
Yeah.
gym for 3 years. Like, you have not maximized your natural potential.
Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB Bikini Pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Today's guest is not just an IFBB Bikini Pro, but also a former NFL cheerleader for the New York Jets, and more incredibly, a current full-time active duty U.S. Air Force officer. She started her competition journey in 2021 with top 5 finishes in all of her regional shows and a 9th place at her very first national show. When she made her return in 2024, she won a whopping 3 overall titles and placed 5th at the Ben Weiders. And in her pride as a natural athlete, she took time away and after 9 months came back to the stage at North Americans in 2025, where she earned her pro card. With over a decade of experience as a dancer, choreographer, and working professional dancer, she has so much to offer in her posing coaching for bikini, fit model, wellness, and figure competitors. Welcome to the show, Jessica McLaughlin. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for being here. I have been excited about talking with you since we reached out, honestly. And I just think you have so much to offer and you're so genuine. And then when I saw that video recently of you popping out all those push-ups, I was like, stop. You're like, I just got my boobs. I was like, how is she doing that? Like, I was just so impressed.
I was genuinely shocked. I feel like some people in the comments think like, so it was the Body by Mark video for anyone
Yeah.
who maybe not, who doesn't know. He goes up to people in New York City and like stops people who are fit and like asks them questions. And there are people in the comments saying like, he plans this. She knew he was coming. Like, I was genuinely shocked. So my reaction of like, oh my God, you're like a celebrity was totally real.
I I love it. I think that's awesome. It was so genuine and sweet. And then you just totally showed out, what'd you do with the money, by the way?
Honestly, I went to Ulta and I had a little fun there.
I love it. That's so awesome. I was like, I always wonder when I see those, I'm like, they better actually keep the money. Like, I
Oh
hope you
yeah,
don't and it's
totally.
cash. So I'm like,
Totally. I had to go to Ulta anyway to grab like a box of hair dye because I'm not a natural redhead. I dye my hair. So I had to go touch up my roots. And then everyone knows like Ulta is when if you go in there for one thing, you end up leaving with 5 things.
uh-huh.
It turned out to be like 98 bucks. I was like, heck yeah.
Wow, you got $2
Perfect.
back. Maybe $1.50 with tax. But
Yeah.
that's so awesome. Well, I'm actually, now that you said that you're not a natural redhead, like that's something I want to ask you about later. So I'm noting that mentally for myself.
Yeah.
Um,
I've only ever competed as a redhead.
I know. Well, that's what I had written down. I'm like, wait, she's been blonde in other photos.
Mhm.
So yeah.
We've gone back and forth, but we could table that for whenever you're ready to talk all things hair or glam or whatever it is, because I could talk about that all day.
Okay, for sure. Well, before we do, let me just ask you, because I feel like it's just like the very first thing I ask. It'd be weird if I don't. Maybe it's just like a brain itch for me. But what's something you do or think about right before your heel hits the stage?
Um, well, I'm a Christian, so this past season I really kind of focused more on bringing that into like my daily life. And I've always practiced my religion, but like this past year, I found that prep was very peaceful for me. It was very calm. It didn't feel stressful or overwhelming, like compared to other preps. And honestly, I give a lot of credit to that, to like bringing daily devotionals into my practices or my morning routines and my rituals. So that was the first thing I did before my heel hit the stage this year, was just like thank God for being there and just being grateful for the opportunity and praying that all things go my way.
That's incredible. Did you recently come to your journey in faith, or
No, not
was that
necessarily.
okay?
I grew up Christian, and I feel like about 6 years ago, when I was in college, like my freshman year, was when I really started to like, it was less something that my I went and did with my mom or my family, and more something that I started to practice and hold myself accountable for.
Yeah, that's where it becomes your choice. Like when you hit that adulthood, you're on
Mhm.
your own more and you really get to choose, do I want to have a relationship with Christ or not?
Mhm. Yeah,
So good for you.
that was right before I hit the stage. First thing I thought about.
Yeah, that's really awesome that you made it more of a priority this prep because I feel like spiritual health sometimes gets separated, but it's so impactful on our physical and mental health. Like it really is the cornerstone of it.
And it's something I find when you're in prep, like I could go to church and no one's pressuring you to eat. That you're not surrounded by food. You're not dealing with people asking. You're not dealing with like the social setting that can sometimes be overwhelming if you're in prep, where you're surrounded by food or drinks or whatever. Like going to church in prep to me is like the best day of the week, because it's just so
Oh,
peaceful, so calming. I could sleep in a little later, prep my breakfast the way I like it, and go to church, and it's awesome. And so I found that was just a really great practice that I really started to lean in more this past prep. And I think that's part of what made it so much more peaceful for me.
that's beautiful. Yeah, I feel like once I established that relationship with Christ, I was able to let go of bodybuilding as an idol in my life, and I could actually just focus on the gift and the blessing of the pursuit in it and whatever happened. Especially with this being what I knew was going to be my last season, it was a lot easier for me to let go and just enjoy what I was being given.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It is kind of a little bit of a dichotomy too, where some people are like, "Well, how are you like a Christian woman? You're on stage in a sparkly bikini. Like, isn't that counterintuitive?" And to me, it's like, well, no, like I feel so grateful that God blessed me with the opportunity to like have my health. Like there are people who are, they don't have the ability to do this, whether that's physically or if financially or from a health standpoint. So I look at it from that perspective, and I just feel gratitude.
Oh yeah, and in so many ways we're representing being a steward of your body and nourishing well. We're also rep in my view, it's a starvation of the flesh
Mhm.
because you are putting yourself in a position to be challenged and exercise discipline. Of course, we're not like forced into it, but I think of the book of Daniel when he is saying no to all the food of the feast, and he said we should be eating like chicken and vegetables. Basically, he's like, we need meat and veggies. And the king couldn't understand why that was important, but he was really representing that if we're going to perform well and be what we need to be for God, then this is how we should nourish our body. And so I often thought about that, like, okay, it is important that we don't give in to every physical desire. And I think bodybuilding allows us to exercise that.
Yeah, I agree. It's like the physical representation of discipline.
Yes. Yeah. And there's sometimes where I'm like, oh, it's a little too far. Like I won't lie, sometimes
Yeah,
I know it's like it's a push of
of course.
that. But in all together, how we perceive it and how we present it
Mhm.
is important. I think we also need more women in the sport who are presenting like a very feminine, strong, confident
Mhm.
um, view, not just a sexualized one
Yeah,
um, on the physique.
yeah. And that's part of my goal as a bodybuilder, especially being in the military. It's very easy to walk that fine line between,
Mm.
am I presenting myself on stage or on social media, especially in a way that I am I'm okay with that bleeding into my professional life in uniform. Because as we all know, like the fitness industry on social media, if you post certain type of content, you get more likes, you get more clicks. And so that's part of the world that I don't ever see myself venturing into in order just to get that social media clout because I'm very cognizant of how that presents in my professional life. And so when I'm on stage, I want to represent somebody who's like strong and but also graceful and feminine. And I feel like that's where bikini bodybuilding is right now.
Oh, I love that so much. Actually, on that point, talk to me about your perspective on the bikini division, the direction, maybe even what your hopes and goals are for it.
I hear a lot of mixed conversations about bikini getting too big. The women are virilized or getting masculine. Um, I will say, of all the women that won their pro cards at North Americans, when we were backstage and there was the lineup of all the pro card winners and we were getting ready to go out for the overalls, I did not notice that about a single one of them. I thought
Wow.
they were all beautiful. Their voices were normal, they were feminine, beautiful faces, beautiful women. Like, I did not notice that at all. I like the muscularity that bikini is coming into. And I say that because I'm a more muscular bikini girl.
Yeah.
But I like it. I like muscle on women. And so I like seeing it in the bikini division because it's still very feminine. I think it's still very streamlined. I'm very happy with the direction that the bikini look is going into. Um, I hope it doesn't continue to grow from here. Like, I think this is definitely the cap of what
Mhm.
I hope to see. But I like where it's at.
Okay, yeah, that's a great perspective. I think it's got to stop, to be honest. I don't think it can
Not
grow
here.
any further without like ruining, not ruining, but taking away from a lot of the intention of bikini. So I'm so interested in seeing how this weekend goes. Um, yeah, it'll be good to know.
Yeah, I think bikini should not grow any further than what it currently is. But I will say I really do like where it's at. And I think I look at a lot of physiques like Ashlyn Little. Like, I love just how round and bubbly she is. I like it. I like the look. So,
Yeah.
but again, I'm also biased because I've
Right.
very muscular bikini girl. And I was always told when I was like coming into it as an amateur, like, you're really muscular for bikini. We need to kind of like tone it down here, but you'll be great as a pro. And I'm like,
Mhm.
well, like, I got to turn pro. And so if this is gonna, yeah, I felt like it was kind of held against me for a couple years early on, but everyone was
Mm.
saying, turn pro, it'll be a benefit. And I'm like, okay, well, I got to get there first.
Yeah. Well, you did it.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
How did it feel when you heard your name get called?
It felt like it was just years in the making. And it felt like it was, everyone always says it's not a matter of if, but when. And I do believe that if anyone really does, I mean, of course, genetics play a huge role, but if you have good genetics, it is a matter of not if, but when, if you continue to work at it. Um, and I feel like I put in the work in the off season. So it just felt like I felt very proud that the hard work showed on stage.
Oh yeah, and you had taken 9 months off between those seasons. So what changed or what did you focus on in that time to bring the improvements you needed to?
This was the first time I ever really focused on nailing my reverse. And everyone talks about how important that is. And I feel like when you do your very first prep as an amateur, I don't know a single amateur competitor who does their very first prep and nails a reverse. Let's just say it how it is. Every amateur competitor at some point during the reverse has a moment where they like maybe don't do what they're supposed to do. But if you could nail your reverse and really hone that in, that was what set me up for success when the prep actually started. And I wasn't even preparing for North Americans. We started the
Hmm.
intent of wanting to do 20 weeks into the Olympia Amateur. So this was going to be my
Oh.
show as like the pro qualifier for the season. So I was going to give myself 20 weeks to prepare, but we were at 12 weeks, which is when North Americans came around, and we felt ready. And it was only 8 hours away of no, not even. It was like a 5 hour drive. So we were like, you know what, let's do it. And I'm just really grateful we did.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So that's pretty surprising. You were way ahead of the game.
Yeah, my body was responding this year like it never has in the past. Um,
Huh.
I don't, I think, I really do think it's because of the reverse diet that I just set myself up for success. Um, and we still had to push really hard because for me, I always found that I'm a person who puts on muscle easier than I'm someone who gets lean and conditioned. So I always need to give myself a lot of time to get in the conditioning that's needed. But this year just was a little expedited, and I'm really glad that it was like that.
Yeah, honestly. So when you say nail your reverse, what does that mean?
Well, following your diet.
Hmm.
Just if I feel like people who struggle with maybe like binge eating or something, that was something that I had a past with where I feel like after a prep, I had like an all or nothing
Hmm.
mentality. Like I'm gonna go all in for prep, and then I would reverse, and I would do really good for a week, and then I would have a day where I would just like eat whatever. And this year, I feel like that came with maturity, and honestly, just age and time in the sport. That this year that wasn't the case. Um, and then also just like training hard, taking your training seriously, and training like a bodybuilder. So I think gone are the days where a bikini girl can walk into the gym and just do some lateral raises and some cable kickbacks and be good to go. As we've seen how bikini has grown, bikini bodybuilders need to go into the gym and train like a bodybuilder. And that was my mentality this entire last 9 month off season before getting ready for the prep. And honestly, I feel like I've trained that way um, since I was 20 years old and starting the sport because I was always surrounded by people who trained like that. And that was like the mentors in my life. But I think if you're a girl in bikini and you're not training like that, now's your time to like step up your game and really push yourself in that sense.
Oh, absolutely. I really love that too, especially when we're looking at it from a genetic or a structural standpoint. A lot of us will not get to this point where we're like, oh, now I look too big for big. I mean, it's just if you're not big enough yet for bikini, why not just push really, really hard in your improvement? It's not like you're gonna, oh, great, now I'm a wellness comp. That's just not gonna happen.
Not. And I even had a lot of people say to me like, "Oh, you could do wellness. You could do wellness." No, just because in the off season
Yeah.
I carry more fat in my lower body. I'm telling you, I know what wellness girls look like in person. If you've never seen a peeled to the bone wellness girl in person, then you'd be in for a surprise because they are massive and they are impressive. And I think it's great. I think it's an awesome look. That's not me. And I
Yeah.
bikini girls think like, well, like they see themselves in their off season and maybe they hear a lot of noise of other people trying to tell them what they should and shouldn't do. First of all, take that out of the equation, listen to your coach and listen to yourself and your internal voice telling you what type of body you want to live in. But
Yes.
just because you carry more fat in your lower half does not mean that you need to do wellness. Like still train hard and when the fat comes off, you will still be good to go for bikini.
Yeah, I love that. You know, it's actually funny because when I went to the women's workshop, I don't remember what now, I don't remember. Oh, 2024 maybe? I don't remember. There were some events that I went to even yeah, I think it was my last improvement season. Anyway, they were like there were some judges who I was setting up the chairs with and I'd never met them. He just someone from another state. He's like, "Oh, so you're a wellness competitor." And I was like,
No.
that's hilarious. I was like, whoa. But that's because I was wearing pants. Like, you know, it's like covering the fact that it's fat. And I love that. I love that about improvement season as a bikini. I'm like, well, give me the
No,
nerve.
I love it. Yeah, I do love off-season shape. I feel like I do feel a little bit more, you know, feminine in my body when I have just a tad bit like I would say that like 6 week, 8 week outlook
Yeah.
is what I would love to live in. And that's I mean, now that I'm a pro, my goal is to kind of maintain that look almost in my off season and grow from here while still trying to maintain that like 8 week, 6 week out look. Um, but yeah, back to your point with other people saying like, "Oh, are you wellness?" I think some people, um, some people don't always know what they're looking at, and they just like to
True.
say things. And I think if you're a young bikini girl in the sport, you could be very impressionable to
Mm.
hear what all the different voices and noise have to say, and you really just need to like Are you my coach? No, your opinion doesn't matter. And you don't say that, but you think it.
Oh yeah. And you know what too? Like if you showed like a bikini girl and a wellness girl, let's say amateur level, okay, not pro level, amateur level, to a normal everyday person, they're gonna have a really difficult time. Like, okay, what's the difference? They might say, oh, that girl has bigger legs, but they're not. So you have to be very careful of whose opinion, like you said, you're really taking into consideration.
And I think if you, at least this was always my way of thinking when I was an amateur and even now as like a new pro, but I always aspire, I never compared myself to like what are other amateurs doing. Like I always looked at the pros and I tried to. I know they say like you're an amateur, don't compare yourself to a pro. But no, I'm an amateur who wants to be a pro, so I'm going to look and aspire to look like the pros. And so agree. If you look at like an amateur wellness competitor and an amateur bikini competitor to the average eye, they might not know the difference. If you go to the local amateur show, you might have a wellness girl who could easily compete in bikini and she could have won
100%.
overall bikini. You never know.
Yes.
But if you're looking at pro pro shows, there is a stark difference.
Oh yeah. Huge difference. So when you had, you came back in 2024 after your 2021 season,
Yeah.
right? And you had a lot of success, a lot. So talk to us about what was going on between 2021 season and 2024 and um, how it felt to go from winning three overalls to placing fifth at your first national show.
So the difference between 2021 and getting back on stage in 2024 was really like unintentional, really long, prolonged off season, mostly due to my work and my job. I was in my last couple years of I commissioned through the Air Force ROTC program at Rutgers University. So during those couple years, I just really had to focus on earning my commission, um, getting to my first duty assignment and getting re-antiquated as a brand new officer in the Air Force and going through all the technical training that I needed to go through in order to qualify for my job. So it was a lot of graduating, commissioning, moving, TDYing, which is essentially like going to different schoolhouses in different locations. It was just a lot of life happening, and that took me out of the that took me off of the stage for about 3 years, but that never took me out of the gym because I always knew, great, like life is going on, but I'm going to use this time to really train, grow, um, and just be ready to come back on stage and win. And that was the goal. And my first season, I didn't win, I never won a regional show. I think my first season as an amateur competitor, I always placed like top five. I always placed, but I
Yeah.
never won an overall. So even just coming back into 2024, having three overalls on a regional stage, I was like, oh, so proud of that. I was like,
I
the work
bet.
paid off. Um, and I was very happy with top five at the Ben Weider because I knew that if you could place top five at a pro qualifier at that point, it's about chomping away at the bit and just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Because you're right there at that point. And so that was really I consider last season a great success. I was very proud of that and happy with that, and it gave me a lot of burning desire to like again take the off season really seriously, grow, reverse properly, and get back after it this year.
Love that perspective because you didn't let the placing at, like, I didn't go pro, so it was a fail, and all those. I love that you're like, man, I got all those overall wins. I placed top five. I think we're missing some of that. There's this expectation that if I do this, if I win this overall or this, so I should be able to go and get my pro card, but that's not always the case. And so I love your gratitude for what that season gave you.
Yeah, and I feel like you can't walk into any show with the expectation of anything. Um, you need to walk in with confidence, and you need to walk in being proud of the hard work that you put in and feeling confident in the physique that you're presenting. If you don't feel proud of the physique that you're presenting, then maybe you should maybe not do the show. If you don't feel
Yes.
confident, like, hey, I did everything that I needed to do to get here, then take a step back and say, well, am I ready to get on stage if I didn't do all that I needed to do in order to walk on stage? And so I considered last season really big win for me because it was wins that I never achieved before. I never took an overall title in my very first season as a competitor. My very first national pro qualifier, I placed top 10, but I wanted to crack into that top five. And
Yeah.
so I was really grateful for that. And I loved competing at the Ben Weider. I thought it was a phenomenal show. I thought it was a great show, and I would love to compete at that show now as a pro to try to go to the Olympia. I thought it was awesome. I think it's a great show that allows that opportunity to natural competitors as well.
I agree. I agree. I think it's wonderful. And you being a natural athlete and advocating for really maximizing your natural potential, what led you to want to stay natural, especially in a sport where enhancement is generally the norm now?
Yeah. For me personally, I would say the number one reason is I'm an active duty officer in the military and I cannot afford to
Yes.
lose my commission because I'm doing things that are illegal, essentially. So to me, I don't judge anyone who does. I just don't, I feel like I have a lot riding on the line if that was
Mhm.
to ever, be the case. And I don't, I love bodybuilding, but I also love my service. And so I'm not willing to sacrifice that if I get in trouble for that.
Yeah.
So that's the glaring big one for me. But also, I just feel like a lot of young girls are not actually maximizing their natural potential before they
Mm.
hop on enhancements. I think they like to say that they are, but I don't think people really are. I know a lot of 22-year-olds, 23-year-olds, 24-year-olds who are like, "Well, I've reached my natural potential for growth, therefore I hopped on PEDs." And it's like, you're 24 years old. You've been
Yeah.
gym for 3 years. Like you have not maximized your natural potential because you're still so young. You've only been doing it for a couple of years. I can guarantee you're not pushing yourself or training as hard as you possibly could. So I really do think that maximizing that natural potential is something that people just say that they're doing, but they're really not. Um, and so I would advocate for women to really, especially young women, to really take a step back and before they take that route, say, well, am I doing everything that I need to do from a training perspective, from an eating perspective? Um, and just take that into account before they make those choices because they are irreversible for a lot of cases.
Oh, for sure. I could not agree more, honestly. Like I I think one of the things that's important for especially younger competitors to consider is like if you have, yeah, let's say you've been in this even for 5 years and you spent a year and a half of that prepping and competing, there's no way you've met because that time of dialing in for the stage is to be honest, it's impeding on your potential for growth. It
No,
doesn't mean it's a bad thing because it's giving you insight, you're getting experience, you're getting your heel on the stage, but you're not fueling the growth. And I don't even feel like once I got the right guidance, that's when I started feeling like I was really starting to see my potential come through. And I almost feel like I finished just on the cusp of seeing what I was capable of, you know? And I'm so grateful that I got to see more of what that potential looked like. But even me at almost 29 now, I can say I was like, I'm about to hit that peak, you know, like 35, I'd probably be like an animal up there, you know, but like, it's just, yeah, why jump? So I think the reason people jump into it so soon is it's a attractive to consider getting there sooner.
mhm.
And for women, let's be honest, women who get into it young and want to start a family and step away from the stage when they do that might feel like this is my only opportunity instead of seeing like there's potential down the road too.
I can understand that perspective. I mean, of course, that's also another reason. There's a lot of reasons.
Yeah, that's another reason to stay natural.
Like I
Yeah.
can't, I would never sacrifice my ability to have children in the future because that's so important to me. By messing around with things that I don't really feel comfortable with I'm 25 years old. Like this is, that's not the time to mess around with those things. If you're going to mess around with those things, maybe wait until after you have kids or something like that, or
Mhm.
just do so responsibly.
Yes.
Um, but I think a lot of young women just want to rush the process. And I think that is kind of the culture that we live in. I think we do live in a little bit of like an instant gratification type culture. Um, across the spectrum, not just bodybuilding.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
want something, you could go on your phone, you could order it. You want something from Uber Eats, you can go ahead and order it and it's at your doorstep. So I think people, you want likes on Instagram, you just post a certain type of piece of content and then you can get there. So I think people
Right.
just want to rush the process and they just want to get there. And I really found I had the most fun in just my journey. And it's the journey. It's not just the final destination. I remember being 21 years old, 20 years old, really, the year before my first prep. And I was working at a gym and I was surrounded by a lot of these like IFBB pros, Olympians, men, and they were mentors to me, and they trained me like a bodybuilder. They had me
Heck yeah.
lifting heavy stuff and really working me out, and it was so much fun. The journey towards like building the muscle, and that's to me that's bodybuilding, and that was just so much fun. I feel like a lot of young women need to like take a step back and actually enjoy the process of bodybuilding and not just the final destination of wanting to look like a bodybuilder on the stage.
Oh yeah, I love that so much. Even honestly, even for some seasoned competitors, I can say as when I was a considerably, someone could qualify me as a seasoned competitor. I still had so much to learn and put into it that had I maybe been in an environment like you're describing, it would have been a lot more likely that I would have. Now, I was pushing myself, but mm, you know what I mean? Like, was it what I should have been or needed to be doing? Probably not. And I think that there is a pressure to um, keep up or catch up, even. So, what advice would you give to someone who is feeling that pressure to not stay natural despite maybe their initial commitments to try to stay natural as long as possible or forever?
Yeah, I can understand where that mentality might be coming from, especially considering how bikini is vastly bigger now than it was 5 years ago. So feeling that pressure to catch up is probably tenfold for a younger competitor. And that's where I would recommend, hey, let's start with Fit Model. If you want to
Yeah.
get on stage, like great. The Whether you like Fit Model or not, they're now offering a platform for younger women to at least get on stage and enter the sport and see if they even like it. Like, go through a prep, see if you even enjoy it before you decide to take those extra steps. And now you do all these different things to your body and you do a couple preps, and maybe you decide you don't even like it anymore. But now you screwed yourself. You have no other
Hmm.
choices. And so I would say explore the route of Fit Model, explore natural shows, because the women are going to be smaller. So I would say like look at some of the natural NPC shows that are being offered. Look at maybe doing the Ben Weider because that allows again that platform for a natural competitor to turn pro or a natural pro to enter the Olympia. I think that the NPC and the IFBB is doing, I think they're doing the right things and providing natural competitors. Um, I think they're providing them with the tools to stay natural for as long as they want to.
Hmm.
I would say explore those options if you want to get on stage and compete as a natural competitor.
Yeah, that's really good advice. It was so fun to compete at the natural shows for this year. I only did na a natural season, actually, like only natural season meaning only stepped on natural stages. I've always been natural, but something that I appreciated about it was I got to see also like more of what was possible. Um, and that was really awesome. Like to be surrounded by people who I was just like, oh my gosh, like I would have never thought, like especially at the Pittsburgh sports festival, looking around, I'm like, y'all are natural? Like you're telling me?
Yeah. Like very
Yeah.
impressive physiques, especially for like the men too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not talked about enough too is I've heard a lot of people say like natural competitors for men, like they can get even more peeled to the bone than sometimes men who aren't. And so it's really cool to take a look around. And if you're somebody who wants to explore those, like just go to a show, go to the Ben Weider, go to the Pittsburgh, and just like take a look and see like, oh, cool, this is attainable. I can do this as a natural competitor. And I think that there are natural bikini pros who are getting up on regular stages, and well, probably not a lot, but I'm sure
Yeah,
there are a handful. And I hope to be one of those. Like, I hope to step on like the New
I
York Pro
think you will
stage
be.
something
Hmm.
like the C Pro or something like that in the future, and still represent that category of competitors.
I honestly believe you could do that. Yeah, no doubt. And we need that. Like, I think it's so, I didn't know you were, I mean, I knew you did the Ben Weider, but I didn't know you were a natural competitor, maybe stayed natural. So, I've really enjoyed hearing that that's the case and hearing about how you've navigated that.
I think there's also like um, just a lot of noise on social media. Like there's more information out there about uh, not only PEDs but also like peptides and all those things. And so
Hmm.
I listen to a lot of that stuff because I still want to educate myself on them.
Yeah.
Like I want to be like if I'm in the industry, I still want to know all about it, and I actually find it very fascinating. Like I totally
Hmm.
um, but that doesn't necessarily mean you need to succumb to the pressure. That's like anything in life.
Yeah. And also, people need to be very mindful that if you are considering taking anything, and you want to be a natural competitor, read the substances list. Like
Yeah,
read the ban.
my friend.
Yeah, because I don't think some people realize if you take peptides, you're out. You're no longer considered natural.
Mhm. I've had a lot of people even ask me too, like, what are some good, like, what did you use fat burners? Yeah, I used fat burners. I use like yohimbine or L-carnitine or caffeine and all these
Mhm.
good things like that. So there's definitely you have to read the fine print and decide and see what's in there. And then also, I have a friend who's an OCB pro, which is obviously a natural division. So I like
Mhm.
would talk to him a lot about like, hey, what fat burners do you use? And he's the one who said like, hey, I use the L-carnitine and the yohimbine stack. And once I started using that, whew, boy, it was
Oh
crazy.
yeah, especially fasted cardio with that. It's a game changer.
Or even just having like a good coach who
Yes.
has the knowledge of like how to prep natural competitors, or also knows how to like my coach Paul. He works with both, and but he came from the natural background, so he has never once pressured me at all. And I think that's really important as competitors to find a coach who will never make you feel like you have to do something that you don't want to do. I've unfortunately heard of too many stories of young girls who work with coaches who pressure them into doing things, and then they have damage that's already done, and there's no going back. And so
Yeah,
that's unfortunate for young women who are again like young, impressionable. So find a good coach that you really trust.
I love that. If you're looking for competition heels, jewelry, and fun competitor extras, then visit shoefairyofficial.com and use code Celeste for a discount at checkout. So, what's something bodybuilding has taught you about yourself that maybe these other areas of your life haven't or couldn't have, if anything?
I think bodybuilding has, I feel like there's so much that can go into it. But I really do kind of going back to like what I said before about being both like strong, but also feminine and graceful. And I feel like that to me is bikini bodybuilding, the culmination of that on stage. And so that has really taught me like, okay, you can be both, you can do both. And I think that's really empowering. And I love that. I love that about bikini bodybuilding. And so it really has taught me that you can be both very strong as a woman, but also graceful and feminine at the same time.
Love that. Yeah, you're such, just talking with you, it just transparently, you're such a great advocate. I feel like, yeah, I've obviously followed you, read your posts, but just talking with you like live like this, I'm like, dang, you're so well spoken. You really have a passion for the sport, passion for the people in the sport. Like, I think, man, I wish, you were speaking at more places.
I don't. This is actually like my first time getting on any podcast from a bodybuilding
It's
perspective, and
crazy to me.
I love talking about these things because I am so passionate about them. But I will say I don't do a whole lot on social media because I
Right.
I'm not very outspoken on social media. I don't do a lot of like videos talking or sharing this stuff. I don't know why. Um, I think I'm just not really, I'm not a social media girly. I don't love content creation.
Yeah.
I am very passionate about like speaking with people. I came from the background of like teaching young women in dance. Like ever since I was,
Hmm.
I had my mom owns a dancing studio and I was teaching little girls. So I kind of like grew up feeling this passion for wanting to help mentor young women. Um, and also being in the military, being a woman in the military, having that passion for wanting to like mentor young women in the military and help them navigate what their future careers could look like. So I love these type of forums. I just don't do enough of them.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're incredible. And I think more people need to hear from you. And so I'm hopeful even that this podcast might open some opportunities to or provide that even just this video itself could be something people learn from. So anyway, aside from that, I do yeah, I do want to ask you about the hair because I'm like, okay, wait, I didn't even ask you about it. Um, yeah, so you've always done the red hair on stage. I love the red hair. Your hair is red right now. So are you competing?
So I started my red hair journey when I was actually a senior in high school. So this is even before bodybuilding was a thing. I was competing in a pageant. So I was getting ready to
Oh.
again get on something about like getting on stage just makes me want to like die. For some, I don't know. I was like 18 years old. I was a blonde my whole life, and I came from a dance background, and I was getting ready to go compete in like the Miss New Jersey Teen USA pageant. And I, for some reason, felt like, well, there's a lot of blondes on stage. Like, I never see a redhead. I'm just gonna dye my hair red. And I did it for the pageant stage, and then
Wow.
I loved it. But it was a lot of maintenance. It was a lot of upkeep, and so I went back to blondes just so that I didn't have to do the maintenance. And so when I was 21, so fast forward a couple years, and I was getting ready to step on stage for bodybuilding, I was like, well, like I really liked the way the red hair looked on the pageant stage. Let's see what it looks like on the bodybuilding stage. And
Yeah.
I get back red, and it's been red since then, essentially.
Oh, it's so good. Like it's yeah, I mean you look like you're probably one of those people who could rock like any hair
Oh, I
color.
don't know about that. I love the red though.
It's so good on you. Seriously. Like I think it's awesome too because actually there's people who are natural redheads who have felt like they have to dye it or wear a wig on stage. Like they feel like they have to hide it. So I think it's really cool that you're like, okay, I can look this good.
See a lot of redheads on stage.
No.
A lot of like obviously see a lot of blondes. You see a lot of brunettes, or girls with black hair. I actually think I will say black hair with a black suit. I love. I could never,
Yeah.
but I love that look. Um,
That's
but
like Alexandria Ross and
uh,
Leon. Yeah.
I love it. I love that look. Um, but I probably will stay redhead for years to come. I've been doing it for now for a couple of years, and I just love it.
Yeah, you found your look.
Yeah, and it's very fitting for me. I have a very, I think sometimes like very fiery personality.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'm like, well, at least I can give people a little bit of a, they say redheads can be a little crazy. So I'll give people fair warning. Talk to me.
I love it. You're like, I'll let the air speak for me.
But
That's
the
so amazing.
red hair with a green suit, I thought was very like poison ivy. And so I was like, you
Oh
know what?
yeah.
Let's just have fun. And it does help you, I feel like, um, kind of exude an alter ego or a character on stage. And so
I can see
sometimes when
that.
I'm working with like posing clients and I work with women who are like, well, I really don't know how to feel maybe a little flirty on stage or tap into my feminine energy on stage. I'm like, you have to dig into like that alter ego. Like, who is she? And then
Yeah.
let her come out on stage. So when you're posing, like put your AirPod in or put some music on that brings out that character and like be true to yourself, but also don't shy away from like feeding into that character a little bit and letting that come out on stage.
Yeah, like an energy almost.
It is. And I think posing is so much about like that energy and that flow. And it really is about exuding that on stage.
Yeah, like Celeste in normal life is listening to Christian music and country music and some and rock music and but Celeste preparing for stage is listening to Buttons by the Pussycat Dolls and Gwen Stefani
I know.
more consistently. I mean, obviously I still listen to that in normal life. It's like that's what gets me like so excited. But especially for prep and like practicing posing, like that or like Latin music, but you're not going to see me just put that on in general.
No, yeah, you have to find like whatever is that whatever helps bring that energy out of you.
Yeah,
Um, you have to tap into that when you're on stage. Like at the end of the day, like I also think bodybuilding is like it is a form of it's a form of entertainment also.
it
Uh,
is.
people don't just the Olympia or the Arnold or all the different pro shows, like their job is to also put butts in seats. And part of that job is to give a performance on stage. And I think the men do a really good job at this. Like I always
Agreed.
love the way like the men really, if you get up, if you see like Nick Walker or the big boys on stage and they're doing their pose down and like they're engaging with each other, they're interacting, like they are giving the audience a show. And so why don't women feel like we have the same responsibility to give the audience a show?
Mhm.
And so I think having that energy and that character come out through your posing is a part of that entertainment factor.
Yeah, when you said that, I could think of Angelica when she added a twist on her posing. She was one of my
My
favorites
first
forever. Yeah, my first too.
back in like, I mean, you said you started your podcast in 2018. She was like
Uh-huh.
the it girl of that
Yeah.
era.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then like even Laura Lee, she threw in like she worked with a WBFF posing coach and athlete to help her kind of bring something else to the stage and perform differently. Something I liked about Jen Dory was she was very look short and sweet, look, and then I'm off, which I loved. Maureen, we see that like spice. There's
Posing.
yeah.
I
I
love
was
her
gonna say you're kind of like you bring that like spiciness on stage a bit more.
swag on stage, and I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah. They asked me on Instagram the other day, they were like, where do you draw posing inspiration from? And I said Maureen. I love her posing. She just exudes this just like confidence, like this swag kind of. And then I also love she's a wellness competitor, Julia Renee. Are you
Oh
familiar?
yeah.
I
Yes.
love her because she just also she's unique and she does her own thing and she's not afraid of taking chances. And I think that's so fun and I really admire that.
Oh yeah, same. I think it's really cool when you find like your flair, I guess you could say. You kind of see the different personalities come out. Jazzy too. I think,
Yeah.
and India Paulino was one of the first. Remember, she did her like little shimmy thing that she did. So it's really like you said, it's entertainment. Now I think for amateurs, we've got to be a little careful not to overdo it. But like you said, there's that energy you can exude and you help people with that. Like how do you get someone to go, okay, you like as an amateur, you still have to do the mandatories and just it's got to
Mhm.
be kind of more like this. How do you yeah, how do you do that while keeping that stage presence?
I think you can still exude like a certain energy and a confidence and an aura, even if you are doing the mandatory amateur. You're not doing the T walk and all that. You're just doing your mandatories, but you could still bring your personality through. So, like you said, like seeing some girls, they pose maybe a little bit more like sensual or um, kind of flowy versus some girls are more bubbly and sassy, more energetic. And so you could still exude whatever aura that you want, even as an amateur. You're just doing it in a more condensed way. You don't have as much time, but that doesn't mean that your posing can't still be as awesome. It's just shorter. And so I sometimes I do see amateur competitors like over practicing, and I will see amateur competitors like practicing the T walk and practicing like a pro routine. And I would say let's not do that because there's no reason to. Let's nail down whatever the amateur routine is and get that squared away. And then as a pro, we'll work on a pro routine. Like I never worked on a pro routine as an amateur. I worked on my amateur mandatory, quick, snappy, because you practice like you play on stage.
That's right. Yeah, I basically saw a pro routine is a privilege and a reward if I were to go pro.
I agree. And I think practicing posing is just something that um, a lot of competitors maybe don't do as often as they should. A lot of competitors, I think, wait until they're in prep to start practicing posing or to start establishing a routine. And I actually think that's the time to really start practicing is going to be in your improvement season because you
Hmm.
have more energy, you have more time. When you're in the thick of prep and you're doing X amount of cardio, X amount of training, everyone knows prep takes time, like
Yes.
cleaning, laundry, like it just eats away at your time. So if you're waiting until you're in prep to start practicing posing, you're going to be crunching time and you're maybe not going to feel as confident as if you started 6 months ago and you found your routine, you found your flair, and now that you're in prep, you're just like fine tuning it and running it every couple days after training. So that's my advice that I would give to like an amateur competitor is don't wait until you're in prep. Start posing when you're in your off season.
Love that. Even if it's just for the sake of being comfortable in heels and
Yeah.
in your plus I think it gives you exposure to your body outside of a prep shape, which is going to let you have even more confidence in the future, but also like normalize your body changing
Yeah.
season to season.
And you might like if when you have more body fat, like you might even feel a little
So
bit more
true.
or so. So like practicing posing in that body might help even if you have trouble bringing that side of you out, like it might even help you. Having
Good
more
point.
curves might help you feel more feminine when you're posing if you struggle with that. I know a lot of women who get into bodybuilding and maybe they come from a background of like soccer or sports. And so maybe they don't have the same confidence feeling sensual and feminine and sexy on stage that maybe a girl who came from cheerleading or dance they might have. That doesn't mean you can't get there. It just comes with practice.
Oh, absolutely. I love that so much. It took me forever to even feel comfortable posing, um, like truly like with an energy. So, yeah, I think it's awesome. And I think your dance background probably gives you an edge too with helping competitors, helping athletes with their stage performance and with their confidence because you've got years and years of experience. You've also had years and years of teaching. So, what are some of your best tips for getting confident in heels? Just getting confident in heels.
I so bef I wouldn't say before I started competing, but around the same time that I was competing, I started to teach more heels classes, like heels dance classes.
Mm.
This is before I started taking on any posing clients or anything. I was just teaching a lot of heels dance classes, and I would deal with like having women this, or I would have women who deal with the struggle of like, how can I dance in heels if I just don't feel comfortable even walking in heels? And so well, that's step one then. Let's like crawl, walk, run. Crawl, walk, run. Let's open up every heels dance class with like getting our feet warmed up, getting our core nice and strong, practicing some walks across the room just to like get comfortable. And then we could start thinking about the movements. So, like, very beginner, if you're a bikini competitor and you don't even feel comfortable posing in heels, cool. You might not feel comfortable posing in heels, but let's get comfortable walking in heels. So put your heels on. Let's walk around the house a little bit. Let's do some just walking drills. Honestly, like there's a certain way to walk in heels so that you don't fall over. So let's talk about like getting your core nice and strong before we put the heels on and getting our feet warmed up and our mobility right. So like there are techniques to help a woman feel comfortable even just in heels walking around before posing comes to play.
Yeah, I think that's great just to get comfortable wearing them, walking in them, and there are yeah, certain elements it sounds like of your body and the way that you hold yourself that's going to make that easier. I remember I just started like cooking in my heels when I was first learning and just wearing them around the house because I was like, I don't know, if I can't even stand in them for like 10 minutes, what am I?
How am I going to walk in them?
Yeah, how am I gonna even practice a pose in that? It's just not
Yeah.
gonna happen. And honestly, it wasn't until a guy at my high school actually, it was post graduation, but he went to the same gym as me and he was on the dance team in high school and he's a professional dancer now, but he was doing heel classes and things of this nature. And he saw me posing in my heels. He's like,
Right.
Celeste, can I just give you some tips? Like, can I do this with you? Think it would be fun? And I was like, I'll take any advice. I mean, this is a guy teaching me how to walk in heels. Okay. He changed my life in that moment. There was something about how he demoed it that not only like flipped something on how I perceived myself in heels, but also helped me to move in them. So I actually really think working with someone with a dance background, that was one time with him, one time. So I can only imagine, how rewarding it is when you see somebody get that confidence.
Oh, it's so, I I mean, I feel the same way about dance as I feel about posing clients. I love taking um, a, a dance student and just like watching them over the course of like a couple weeks just come out of their shell. That was always such the most rewarding part of being a dance teacher for so long is like watching young girls just like completely come out of their shell and maybe they were a little bit more reserved and now I got to see their personality just 4 weeks later because they felt so much more confident and comfortable. And so I feel the same way about having a posing client who like maybe started out a little bit more timid, maybe she didn't have any confidence in herself. And then after a couple sessions, it's like, who even am I looking at? You're a totally different person. And that's awesome.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, and I bet like because you have been in multiple positions of helping women find more of their power, more of who they are, you're able to identify some of those insecurities or challenges quickly and have a lot of evidence to support someone in getting through it.
Yeah, I think a lot of women don't have the confidence to pose in heels because a lot of them don't have like maybe the foundational like technical skills. And I think posing is two part. There is like a technical aspect to it, and then there's also like the swag and the aura and the energy. Like that's a huge part of it as well. But it's hard to pull that out of a woman if they don't feel confident, even just like you said, walking around in heels. And so I know a lot of posing coaches who'll just like throw their clients in kind of like cold, throw the heels on, and we'll just get started. But I always try to like teach very newbie beginners, like here's some mobility training that we could do from a technical perspective that will get your body right to even like have these different twists and these shapes. Here are some warm-ups for your feet. So your feet don't cramp halfway through.
That's
Here's
great.
some warm-ups to make sure your core is nice and tight because that's the center of your body. And so if you go in cold and your core is not warmed up, then you might feel a little bit more off balance and all over the place than if we just take 5-10 minutes pre-posing to get that activated. So like there is the technical foundation that I do with all of my posing clients before we even move into like the aura and the swag and like the details of things. And I find that if we can establish that foundational knowledge, they feel more comfortable and they're able to get to that end stage a lot quicker.
And I bet that having the foundation helps them to have longevity and have better insight, like as they progress, like, okay, this is how I'm actually going to keep my body healthy while I'm doing this.
Yeah. Or if they're backstage, like, okay, I'm getting ready to be on stage for who knows how
Mm.
long. Make sure I do my, like, make sure I roll out my feet or do my toe ball heel warm up or, things like that, just to make sure that they're prepped and ready to go on stage and pose for who knows how long the judges decide to drill you for.
Oh gosh. Yeah. And oh yeah, and you made a good point earlier too about how like in prep, so it's good to practice in your improvement season because in prep, I mean, I practiced through my improvement season and it was still challenging running drills through my prep doing posing practice, like back to front, back to front. I mean, I had my posing coach was like, until you nail it 10 times.
Yeah.
She's like, start with three, and then once you hit three in a row, we'll do five in a row. And then, but that's what you need to do because they're drilling, especially at the national level. You're gonna be drilled.
Yeah, they are definitely I've seen some shows like they go through the girls like a finer tooth comb than others. But if you're going to do like one of those big shows like Universe or North Americans or some of the more larger shows, they're gonna drill you back to front a couple times. And so it's a workout to practice that. And you need to get conditioned to do so. So because at the end of the day, like you don't want to waste all those weeks of getting like the best physique that you're most proud of just to not present it in a way that you're proud of on stage. Because at the end of the day, like the judges, they don't know what you did to get there. All they see is what's in front of them. And so you want to make sure that you're presenting that to the best of your ability so all of your hard work doesn't go to waste.
Yeah, and surprisingly, there may even be some regional shows where that happens, where the competition is tight. Like, I think at the North Carolina Natural, I'm pretty sure. Jimmy Sweet and Mo Newman. And I mean Jason Bird, and I don't remember who else was judging us, but they worked us pretty dang good. Um, and that was only like I think four, three of us in a class, but then in the overall there was like I think five or six of us. I
I love
remember
it.
being, yeah, me too. It feels like, oh, I get to be
Yeah.
on stage longer.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, even if it doesn't matter how small the regional show is or how big the regional show is, like, I think it's awesome to give, like, all the competitors that feel like this is what it
Yeah,
could, like, be ready. This is what it's going to feel like if you go to a pro qualifier. I think that's awesome. And then also, like, you're paying a lot of money to be there. So, like, keep me on
exactly.
stage as long as you want. I'm paid to be here.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had like actually a somewhat opposite experience at my national show this year where I felt like we
They rushed you.
transparently felt like we weren't even looked at. Even like I feel like everybody had that experience. So yeah, that was a bit of a disappointment. So I was really glad that I had the regional shows where it felt like we were being cared for and
Yeah.
genuinely considered.
Yeah, I love that. I even like listen, even if you're not looking at us, like make us feel like you are, you know?
I like, please, like at least look at our general direction,
Yeah.
maybe. Like not what's for dinner over there or where's the bathroom? Like, can we,
Yeah.
can we be here?
I always
Um,
when I'm off the wing and like getting ready to enter onto the box, like so like I'm not really on stage just yet, but if the judges can see you, if you can see the judges can see you.
yes.
I always try to like find lock eye contact and then like almost make them feel uncomfortable. Like I am getting ready to come out on stage. Please look at me.
I love that. That's a good tip too. So how let like looking at your background, not only dance, obviously competing, but and a pageant too, but you were the youngest NFL cheerleader. Now, was that for the New York Jets or was that all together?
That was for the New York Jets.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. So you were what, 18 when you auditioned?
Yeah, I turned 18 like 6 months before.
Oh my
In the
gosh.
prep classes when I was like 17. So I wasn't even like old enough to audition when I was doing the prep classes. And then I turned 18 in time for the like 2 months before the auditions itself.
Why did you want to do that?
So I'm from Central New Jersey, and I grew up dancing in New York City a lot. My mom owns a dancing studio my entire life, and then when I hit like 14 or so, she started sending me into the city by myself to take classes. I don't know what, like I don't
That
know
could
what.
never happen. I mean, maybe it could, but you also grew up in that area, so like maybe it was a little different. You're like built different.
I think back to it and I'm like, oh dear Lord, like what was my mom thinking? But I'm proud of it. She taught me a lot of independence. Like
Great.
it takes a lot of guts to, navigate New York City as a 14-year-old. So I grew up dancing in New York. And when I was 18, I knew I was getting ready to, I knew I wanted to join the military and I knew I wanted to do ROTC and start kind of like a new chapter of my life with, military service. And I felt like I trained so many years, so hard as a dancer. Um, I was like, I need to have like a culminating event where I could
Mm,
kind of close this chapter and feel like I went out with a bang. And I
wow.
looked up to the New York Jets cheerleaders. Um, and I think when I was like 8, they did this thing called Junior Flight Crew. Um, so I was like 8 years old, and they did this Junior Flight Crew summer camp where a bunch of little girls, dancers and stuff, they go do like a week long with the New York Jets cheerleaders. So like
Wow.
I was like, oh, well, like that could be cool. And they never had a girl who was like a junior flight crew who became like legit flight crew.
Oh,
Like I kind of want to go out with a bang, close my dance chapter and dance career chapter, and I decided to go for it and made the team, and it was awesome. It was really cool. I was the very first. I was not only the youngest 18-year-old NFL cheerleader for the New York Jets, but I was also the first junior flight crew who turned of age and became actual flight crew. So that was really awesome experience.
oh, I bet you're like a legend to the junior flight group. People are like, it could happen to me. Jesse did it.
And when it was like when I was my first year as a flight crew, or it was the only season I did, but when we did the summer camp with those little girls, like it was so much fun to be like, man, like 10 years ago, I was you, so you can do it too.
Oh, that's so cool. I bet you could like remember how it felt and the excitement.
It was cool. It definitely was. I was like 18 and there were a lot of women on the team who were like 29, 30. So they were a little
Yeah.
older actually. So there were some moments where it was strange being like the baby of the team. But I think that kind of just challenged me to learn how to hang with the big girls and yeah.
I bet. What was the training for that like and how did that look day to day?
So we had our summer camp essentially before the season started in the fall. And so I was in college at the time, so I had a lot more flexibility that entire summer to allocate for training camp. But once the school year around came around in the fall and the football season came around, the training was pretty intense, and there were a lot of late nights where I was coming home from practice at, you know, 10 p.m., but then I had PT for ROTC the next morning at 6 a.m. So
Wow.
that fall winter semester season for the team and for ROTC and for college was pretty intense. And that's the reason why I only did the one season because it was just a lot at once.
That's amazing that you were doing that at the same time as your first year.
I look back at it and I'm like, how did I do that?
Yeah, honestly though, like that's incredible. Now, did you always know you wanted to follow in your dad's footsteps with the Air Force, or like what inspired you to actually enlist, and were there other factors at play?
I didn't really think about it much, honestly, until I was about a senior in high school. So, like I said, my mom owned the dancing studio my entire life. And I would say up until I was like 16 years old, I thought I was going to go be a dancer on Broadway. I was like, I'm going to be a professional dancer. I never thought about the military at all. But once I turned 18 and I kind of, I think, I don't want to say came to a sense of reality. I just knew like I wanted to do something a little bit bigger than myself. And if I wanted to go back into the world of dance or take over my mom's dance studio, or open up my own studio, there's time to do that down the road. Um, but I didn't come to that decision until I was like 18 years old. And I'm really glad that I did. It's afforded me a lot of really great opportunities and the ability to like travel and just do different things. And so I'm really grateful for the choice.
Wow. That's really amazing. So when you decided that you were going to do that, was there any thought process of like, okay, this is going to be changing my life. This is going to be something that affords me a lot of opportunities. Or what was your thought process with act? Did you know you were going to get out what you got out?
Um, I feel like the military is what you decide to put into it. So if you want to seek really great opportunities and big, amazing opportunities to like travel the world, those opportunities are absolutely there. Um, you could also just do your time 4 years and get out. So you can make a 20-year long career, a 30-year long career, or you could do 4 years and come in and come out. And I think that the experience of it all and like the discipline that it teaches you is really great for anyone no matter which choice you decide.
That's really cool. Now, do you intend to serve as long as possible?
I don't see myself doing it as long as possible. I would like to get out when the time comes for me to start a family and have a family. So I don't see myself being a 20-year long officer, but I can see myself doing it for the next couple years that I have of my contract and then get out when family planning comes around.
That's awesome. Now, forgive me for not knowing this or maybe asking an awkward question, but are you married?
I'm not married. No, my boyfriend's actually in the kitchen right now making his meal though.
Aw. Yeah, my husband's over here like I'm a sounds like he's shaking up a rocker or something. He's doing laundry. And I'm like, I didn't know
Yeah.
if you heard it, but I was like, I can't focus.
And when are you due?
February 5th.
Excited.
Yeah, I can't believe it.
Weird.
Yeah, it's your birthday?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. I think some of the best people are born in February. That's
Uh,
so awesome.
how are you feeling? Are you excited?
Oh yeah. Like it's weird. Like the first trimester, I was kind of like I'm nervous. I'm scared. Like I was just I wasn't in that mode yet of like confidence and the fact that oh my gosh, I'm gonna have a child for the rest of my life. That's my like flesh. You know what I mean? Always knew I wanted to be a mom. So now it seems like lately there's just this real excitement and confidence and joy and eagerness almost to meet my child and raise the baby. We haven't announced the gender yet. That's why I'm trying to be careful.
Ask, but I didn't want to be like, do you know the gender yet? Or you keep doing it close to chest? Now, do you yourself know?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Oh, that's so exciting.
So I was like, oh, her episode's coming out this Friday, but our some of our family doesn't know yet.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's
But so
awesome.
happy. Yeah, and I love that that's something you want for your future. I think that's so amazing and love that you've already started thinking about that. So then are you thinking like after the military you're going to focus on the posing coaching and family building or strictly family building?
I'm really not too sure. I think like kids will come around when the time comes for us to get there, but I can see myself after getting out of the Air Force, I can see myself leaning more into coaching. So whether that be reopening my mom's dance studio and like starting
Yeah.
dance studio, and then also having like a good place to do posing coaching because I'm like, well,
Yeah.
that'd be a good studio for both. I could see myself doing something like that. um, but I also, so the job that I have in the Air Force, I work in public relations essentially. I could see
Okay.
myself doing something like that part-time. Um, once I have a family, maybe something that allows me to do like some freelance or there's a lot of options. I
Oh
haven't really
yeah.
decided just yet, but do love, I love the sport of bodybuilding. I love posing coaching. I love like having the opportunity to like work with women. So I could definitely see myself doing that long term in
Yeah,
whatever.
with your yeah, you're so multifaceted in your background, like you could really do pretty much whatever you wanted.
I feel like opening a dance studio could be so cool because it would also give me a space to do like posing clients, or like maybe like a small personal training studio, like kind of like a boutique training studio, would be really awesome. So it's just a matter of like where I end up living, and the timing of it all.
That's so cool. Yeah, and especially with your mom having had a dance studio, like you've got that knowledge and expertise you can draw upon too.
It was an awesome experience growing up with her having the studio because it wasn't like my mom had to go to like she had to go to work from 9 to 5 and I had to just oh, see you at 5 o'clock when you get home, I guess. Like anytime my mom went to work, I got to go to work with her, and that was just a really cool experience of being able to have that relationship, and that
Um,
exposure. And so I could see myself doing that because I loved that experience growing up, so I could see myself wanting to give that to my future kids.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it actually gave you a really great mentality and focus and drive. So I think that's wonderful. Yeah. So, as far as the military goes, what's something about being a woman in the military that people might not understand, especially given you're also pursuing bodybuilding?
Yeah. Um, to be honest with you, I've never once, and this could be my personal experience, so I don't want to like negate anything else that any other woman maybe has experienced, but I personally have never experienced any bias or gender disparity or whatever. I've always felt like I've had just as many equal opportunities, equal chances at experiencing awesome things as anyone else. So I love being able to share that with other women who might be like, "Hey, Jesse, I'm thinking about joining the Air Force, or I'm thinking about joining the military, but I'm really nervous about like maybe not being treated the same or something." And so my personal experience has been nothing but positive ones. I've loved my journey. I've loved my experiences. I've had amazing leaders who have challenged me to be a better leader. And I also love being in the military because there's a big focus on fitness. And I'm like,
Yes.
I love that too.
Oh, that's so cool. Actually, I was wondering like how Uh, well, I guess I'll ask first, like, how would you compare preparing for like military fitness tests and training to like competition prep?
Well, one is definitely a lot more functional than the other. Like I almost compare bodybuilding as show muscles, whereas my PT tests are they require my real muscles. So one type of training is a little bit more functional versus the other is more like built for like strength and aesthetic purposes. But I feel like it has helped me. So being a bodybuilder has helped me in uniform. One, because it's helped me maintain physical fitness and readiness, but also it allows me to look the part. And part of, wearing the uniform is making sure that you look presentable and professional. And part of that professionalism is physical fitness and like your ability
Yes.
to like maintain that posture. So I find that it's really gave me, especially in my job in public relations, where I sometimes have to get on camera and speak. I think that's definitely bodybuilding has helped me in that sense. And it's given me the confidence too. Like sometimes if I think about like if I have to stand up in front of a room of a bunch of colonels and brief, I'm like, well, that's nothing compared to getting on stage in a bikini.
True. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome. Yeah, I mean, like something that I've asked a lot of the service members on this podcast is how do you manage the structure and demands of service life with the prep and training?
I think that they pair really nicely, actually, because I think being on prep, if you maybe work from home or if you have a job that's more flexible, I actually think that's harder when you're on prep because you are not as distracted, or maybe your home is like you're working from home and the kitchen is right there, right? So you have more food
Yeah.
noise. Whereas if you in the military, like I'm at my office, if I don't pack my meals for the day, I'm not eating. Like there, you know what I mean? So you have no choice but to be really disciplined and structured. And it allows me to build my cardio and my training and my routine into my work life. Um, and sometimes work gets really crazy or busy and it takes the focus away from, oh, I'm hungry or, oh, I'm tired. Um, it distracts you. You have no choice. I don't have the choice to be tired or lazy when I'm at work because I have my job to do. So I actually think that they pair really nicely together. And I know a lot of people in the military who do a lot of if it's not bodybuilding, they'll do like high rocks or MMA or those types of activities just because the lifestyles really match up nicely.
I love that so much. Yeah, I feel like any form of cross training or supplementary training is going to benefit both aspects, and it couldn't really necessarily be a downfall.
No, yeah. And like it also brings me down to earth a little bit when I get to see like okay, I might be tired, I might be hungry, but like then I see like let's say maybe we have a mission coming up and there are porters who are loading cargo and they're working their 13th hour in a row. And I'm like, those guys are probably tired and hungry. What am
Yeah.
I or it just kind of it exposes you to certain things where it makes it hard for you to feel bad for yourself. And I think sometimes in prep, it's really easy to feel bad for yourself. So
Yeah.
to kind of, I think sometimes people need to go like touch grass.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. Actually, I was literally going to ask you if there was anything, you learned from the military that you would want other competitors to know and benefit from, and it sounds like that's probably it. But if there's anything else,
Yeah, I would just say like uh, e- expose yourself to challenges and hardship. Like I feel like sometimes in bodybuilding, um, bodybuilding can be tough. Like you might be really hungry and it sucks. And there's going to be moments where it really does. You might feel like you're suffering a little bit. Um, but, you know, I think sometimes it's important to like step outside of your own little bubble and go see what like hardship actually looks like for some people or what struggle actually looks like for other people. So, like it's really hard for me to feel bad for myself when I'm tired, I'm hungry, when I look at like guys who are training for certain types of missions or jobs and I'm just like in awe of what they do and I feel just like admiration for the way that they handle it and that they navigate through some of those like really challenging circumstances. And so I just think like go touch grass. Get out of your own little bubble and your own little headspace. And I think that makes it easier.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I love that so much. Honestly, I think that's great advice and a good reminder. It's so easy to get caught up in, well, competing needs me to be this and this and this, and oh, it's so tiring. And because of social media too, you get this very zoomed in lens on this community of bodybuilders. I'm not saying groupthink in a bad way, but I
Mhm.
think there's a level of groupthink that then um, it keeps us away from what's happening outside of that. Um, like for example, if you go to a homeless shelter and you serve food, it could give you a different perspective on the fact that you get the opportunity to eat like meat and potatoes and veggies every meal.
Yeah. And I actually, one of my very first mentors in the sport, he like told me, he was like, everyone likes to say like, you're starving, you're starving, you're starving. Like you are eating 5 meals a day. They might be small meals a day, but you are not going to die. Like you are fine. I promise you, you're going to be okay. And I
Yeah.
think you could like kind of step out, like reframe, like it's all about just like reframing your mindset at the end of the day.
Oh,
If you
yes.
your mindset and reshape your mindset and take that step back, it makes it a whole lot easier to look at it from a standpoint of like gratitude. And everybody says this, like you have to change your mindset. Like I have to do cardio. Like no, you get to do cardio. Like I have to eat my meals. Like no, you get to eat your meals. Like there are a lot of people who there are a lot of people who maybe lose their legs. They don't have the, and sometimes I think about that. My brain goes to those places. And where I think about people who I've seen who like lost their legs in service. And I'm like, no, they don't get to do cardio. I get to do cardio. It's hard for me to feel bad about myself when I put that into perspective.
Absolutely. Yeah, like they're relearning how to walk with a prosthetic.
Yeah. Like you have 30 minutes on the Stairmaster. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Sometimes that's, so good. And I think my dad was a huge influence on me in that way. Like he even still does this, which I love. He sends perspective videos, he calls them, or anytime something that would offer a new perspective or ground us. He shares it. There were some times I remember growing up where I was like, just because they struggle doesn't mean I'm not, but like I also think it's such a good reminder of like, okay, this is a challenge, but it's a challenge you're choosing. It wasn't chosen for you.
Yeah, like you can, if you wanted to, you could stop dieting at any point. There are people
Yes.
who can't stop starving at any point. And like you said, like just because somebody else is struggling doesn't mean that you personally can't. Like I agree to a certain extent,
Yeah.
but
But
let's
also,
just like let's be like in I feel like sometimes bodybuilding can foster this like groupthink attitude of like I'm suffering in the gym. I got my hoodie on, my headphones on. I just look miserable all the time, like so miserable in prep. Like I feel like that is like a groupthink attitude that just like looks
100%.
at social media, and I'm like, what are we doing, people?
I will
don't
say
do
my
that.
pet peeve. Yes, and like the caption ready for war, I'm like,
No, you're not.
throw it away.
Like my brother was a wrestler, and so there were moments where he like had to cut a lot of weight and like he had to suffer for wrestling. Like he's not on Instagram with his hoodie on, his headphones on, like talking about like whatever. It's just like I feel like
Yeah.
bodybuilding does a lot of things for like for social media or for clout or for the aesthetic. And it's like, you don't really see that in a lot of other sports where they're suffering and they're training and they're dieting equally as hard.
So true. Man, I love that we could talk so real about it too. Yeah, it's a uh challenge of the norm, really. We've got to be willing to challenge what's considered normal because so much of what's considered normal in this sport is unfortunately unhealthy. It's not normal to work off your food after you overate. It's not normal. It's normal in the sport, but it's not healthy. It's
I
not healthy to do these things that often get promoted. It's not healthy to view your privileged life of being able to spend over $1,000 a year plus in competing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I also like to think of like bodybuilding like in seasons, like seasons of life. And there are gonna like everyone talks about like finding balance. Like balance is to me, having a balanced life doesn't mean everything is balanced all at the same time. It just means over the grand spectrum of things, there is a balance of those things. So there's like in moments of
Hmm.
prep where like, okay, maybe your date nights, maybe those are not as often. And so like your relationship is still balanced, but it's taking the like those nights might be taking the back seat, but that's like the season of life that you're in. Whereas like in a couple weeks, you're gonna move into a different season, and then the training is gonna come down, the date nights are gonna go up, and then at the very end of the grand scheme of things, the balance is there.
Love it. So true.
I don't know if I worded that correctly at all, but hopefully it
You
made sense.
did. Yeah, no, it made perfect sense. Yeah, like essentially the balance will get restored in these different areas. Sometimes things take precedence over others.
You said it a lot more eloquently than I did, but I'm
I
glad that
summarized.
yeah.
So, what are your plans now? Like looking ahead to your professional career in bodybuilding?
I have quite a few work trips coming up. So I have to go to Texas for a week long like survival course, and I have like some travel coming up for work that um, would kind of throw a little dent in the plans if I wanted to compete, let's say tomorrow. So I think right now I'm looking at getting back on stage in the spring. And I would really love to do, like I said before, I would really love to do the Ben Weider. I think that's going to be an awesome road to possibly getting to the Olympia, which I think is the goal at some
Yeah.
point, which kind of feels crazy to even say. Um, but I will say I do again going back to like how massive the bikini girls like the glutes, the tie-ins. Like I am very happy to take some time to grow. So I think right now we're gonna take some time to really grow and develop those areas and get back on stage in 2026.
Love it. Oh, that's so exciting. I'm
Excited.
really eager to watch that unfold. When you do choose to share the little things, I'm excited to see it. So, can you now offer your best advice for someone who's never competed before but wants to, as well as your best advice for somebody who's on their road to pro?
Yeah. I always say for people who want to do it, just do it. You like just do it. Life is very short. So if you ever have like the thought of wanting to do, and I don't care if this is for bodybuilding or if it's for auditioning for an NFL team or if it's for going to do whatever opportunity slash scary challenge lies ahead. Like I think that if you think twice about something, you should just go and do it. Because if like at the end of the day, like you don't know until you try. So if you don't know if you're gonna love bodybuilding, it's gonna change your life forever if you don't make the first step to getting on stage and at least giving it a go. Um, so that's my advice. If for a brand new competitor, if you're thinking about it, just go and do it. And for somebody who's on their road to pro, great. Now you've got on stage, you did it. You decided that you want to now pursue going pro. You got bit by the bug. Now's the time to like let's be a little bit more strategic about it. So let's really game plan more about growth and how to be the best, how to bring the best potential pro package that you could bring. So I think like if you're brand new, just go do it and see if you like it. And then once you get bit by that bug and you decide you want to take it seriously, then like anything else, like really be more strategic about the way that you game plan and you know really just go get after it.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I love that advice, and I've loved everything you've said. I honestly feel like I could have talked to you forever. It's been incredible learning from you and hearing about your journey. I want people to be able to not just follow along, but also reach out, thank you, and even work with you. So how could they do that?
So they could reach out to me on Instagram. I'm at Jessie underscore SBK. So feel free to just send me a message. I have some links in my bio for posing. If we want to work together for posing, I have a form right there. And so just give me your information. I'll reach out to you about scheduling. I'm located in New Jersey, so I love working hands-on with people because I'm a very
Yeah.
like, hands-on person. So if you're in the New Jersey area, I love taking on local clients, but I also do like Zoom or FaceTime posing sessions, but really just social media. And I'm not the biggest person on social media, but I do have a goal for myself to get a little bit better at it. But
Awesome.
that's a great way to reach me.
Yay. Okay, good. So we'll put that in the show notes page, guys. That's always on celestial.fit/podcast. If you're listening right away, it'll be at the top of the page. If you're listening in the future, scroll down to the category section, which is alphabetized. Not only will you see how you can connect with us, but you're also going to see a full summary of this episode, a bulleted list of the topics we covered, and of course, episode timestamps. You can go back and listen to your favorite parts or share it with your friends and your family, your teammates. Let them know what resonated with you. And it goes such a long way, you guys, when you share this, when you tell other people about it, but even more when you let the athletes know about the impact that they made through their episode and through sharing. So please tag us if you listen or let us know your thoughts on it. Of course, if you have athletes you want to hear on the podcast, shoot them my way. I'd be happy to reach out and try to get them on the show. It would be so wonderful to hear from you guys on who you want to hear next. So thank you, Jesse, for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was such a fun time.
Oh, good. You're so welcome. And to everybody listening, I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this episode. Just make it awesome.